Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about Kinera's Wyvern Pro. So here's what the shell looks like up close and personal. Faceplate says Celeste. This is kind of a jadish looking colored shell, 3D printed resin. So nice, feels nice. It's actually a little stubby and short, so we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice looking shell. I think the fit's a little harder to get right, but it's okay. Inside the box, you do get a boom mic, you do get a dragon, and you get a cable, which has a connector for the boom mic, which kind of looks like a BNC or a really big MMC connector or something like that. There is a mic on the cable as well, and the cable is actually very long. I think maybe it's 2 meters long, but so they got the length right. Everything else about the cable, yeah, I'll get to it in a minute. So that is what's in the box. I'm not going to talk about the dragon. I don't know what's going on there. It probably is related to the name. So what is Wyvern Pro? Real quickly, it's a nice Harman style set with nice accessories. I think it's about $22. This is what popular $20 sets tend to sound like these days. One dynamic driver is tuned in a Harman style sound, very much like this set. There's really no need for fear of missing out. If you picked up a Wyvern Pro, then there's no need to go buy lots of other $20 one dynamic drivers tuned in the same style. They all sound very similar, and if you pick this one up, no need to pick up others. If you have others, think twice about picking this one up because it sounds very similar. Perhaps you want the dragon, and then that's a valid reason for picking it up. Are the accessories nice? So, yeah, I don't care too much about the boom mic, don't care too much about the dragon. I think the cable, the tips, actually I said the fit was actually pretty shallow. It's got a really stubby nozzle. It doesn't really get too far into your ear. It's really hard to get a seal on it. The tips they included, I think this is a KB07 style set. This is a generic white silicone set. Not really extended enough to get this to fit and seal properly, so I thought the fit was actually kind of hard for a nice looking shell. Cable is most definitely questionable. If it sounds low res or off when you try it, put it back in the box, which is exactly what I did. Sound. So in their words, this one says, employing the 2019 Harman curve as the benchmark for frequency response, with some tweaks by them. So this is what it looks like on the graph. This will look very familiar. Wyvern Pro is in the red. So all these sets are Harman style sets. So 0, 2, or I will call them mid-bass boosted Harman style sets. So 0, 2, which is in the dark blue, which is the most sub-bass one. Cadenza is next. And then you get Wyvern Pro kind of right in the middle, right on the Harman line, and then Warner was actually a little bit less. So all this is same, and then you get some of this is where I would say that they tweaked it as more in the treble area. So you can kind of see Wyvern Pro put a little more energy to make it a little more energetic. I think that's actually fine. It's not too high. It's pretty much right at the Harman line. Cadenza was sort of next and right on the Harman line, and then 0, 2 and Warner both take a lower pass through the pin area, which is actually a great move. So if I had to pick my right combination of flavors here, I would have picked, Warner or Wyvern Pro's bass, because I like the sub bass tilted down just a little bit. It's fine to have this mid bass. This actually gives things body, sounds right. Then tilt this down so there's no extra boominess or extra stuff going on in the background. I think Warner and Wyvern Pro got that right. Over here, then I would actually take 0, 2, or 1. I think that the lower pass through the pin area is actually the better one. If you're a lower volume person, then you pick the upper 2. But, where Wyvern kind of stuck out was out here, so they did add a little energy out there in the upper treble to make it a little more spacious in the soundstage, and I think that actually worked out quite well for them. So, yeah, they'll call it 2019 with some tweaks, and I will kind of agree with that's probably about right. So the bass, as I talked about, a very Harman style with a little bit mid-bass boost. That's why it works. The sub-bass falls right on the Harman curve like we talked about, and that is where it needed to be. No extra boom in the background. You get the extra mid-bass definition without any extra sub-bass clouding the sound. I think they executed that quite well. The driver's pretty decent. I think they hit that line pretty well. The mids, and this is the part where it really depends on the fit. Go look at the graph and that lower mids. So if you get the fit wrong and it's a little bit shallow, this tends to peak up a little bit more. It sounds a little bit thinner, but there should be, just about the same amount of mid bass that all of these sets do. It's sort of just enough mid bass to get you through popular styles of music to make male vocals sound about right. If any of these things, if female are too thin, if males are too thin, you can kind of guess that your fit is probably not right and try bigger tips or push it in a little bit. So male vocals should be really close to sounding pretty good. Female vocals popped up a little bit, but again, if they are too thin, your fit's probably off. They should have some body as well. That's kind of the key. If the female vocals sound really thin, then your fit's probably pretty far off. So why do the mids rock on this one? The mid bass without too much sub bass and enough upper treble to open the stage, right? They got this recipe of giving you enough body in the mid bass so it handles rock quite well. Not too much sub bass so it clouds up the rock music, and enough upper treble to open the stage so everything sounds separated and layered, and as it should for $20 in 2023. So still a V-shape. Do add some volume, and that will move your mids just a little bit more forward. Otherwise, they're going to sit a little bit more back as a typical V-shape would. Treble, the lower could lose a decibel or two. So, as I said, this little tweak here, it's okay. I don't really mind it on this set in particular. Could it lose a decibel or two? I think true. It could have been right at where 0 was. That would have they have enough energy here to open the stage. They could have actually added a bunch of depth to the stage just by pushing this down a little bit. Just relax the vocals just a little bit. I think that would have been perfect. But it works, and at this price point, it's actually fine. And really, the dip from 4 to 6K keeps the fatigue away. I think all that actually worked out quite well, and they kind of nailed that curve. Just enough upper treble pop to carry the stage into openness, and that's exactly what it does. So I think on a one dynamic driver, $20, they executed that quite well. Stage, yep, right about where a 2023 $20 set should be. It means there's height, there's width, there's projection beyond your ears. And as I said, it kind of trades off having the vocals just a little bit more forward for depth, but it's just quite reasonable to do that at this price, and people aren't really going to notice at this price. So they included a gaming mic, so I'll give you a quick shot at what I reviewed a gaming TWS recently, and you can kind of see, so Edifier's GX05, their game mode, tend to really pop the sub bass to really catch those low-end effects. I think Wyvern Pro included the boom mic, and it's kind of usable for gaming, but I wouldn't call it necessarily tweaked for gaming. You can see Edifier made some real specific adjustments here to really catch the low end. I think Wyvern Pro will catch the low end kind of fine. They actually did, the pin area is actually pretty close, but then Edifier sort of uses the frequency response as a filter, really filter out some of the things that are become fatiguing, and whereas Wyvern kind of kept a more musical approach. But yeah, so I wouldn't say that Wyvern Pro is necessarily a gaming set. It includes a mic, and it's definitely usable for gaming, but you don't see too much in the frequency response that says they really tweaked this for gaming at all. But for music, it's great. 2019 Harman, like a lot of other sets. So that is what I got on Wyvern Pro. So thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.